In '79, I think you would have been about 22, you went to a radio debate with the Reverend Wade Watts, who was the state leader of the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People, who'd worked with Martin Luther King.
Yes.
And when you got to this debate, he held out his hand for you to shake.
Yes, he did.
Did you hesitate?
He caught me off guard. See, I'm expecting this black militant to come in with a great big afro this big and an African dashiki on with bones hanging around it and a button on that says, "I hate honkies," and "death to crackers," you know, all that stuff. And I figured he'd have on a
You
black...
seriously thought
Yeah,
that?
that's what I thought. And I thought he'd come in there carrying a boom box blaring out the theme from Shaft. I figured he'd flash a switchblade at me and go, "Black is beautiful, honky. I'm going to kill all you white devils," you know. That's what I thought I was going to see. And so when the door opened up and in came Reverend Wade Watts, and he's wearing a suit and a tie, and he's carrying a Bible, and he walks up and he puts his hand out to me. He goes, "Hello there, Mr. Clare. I'm Reverend Wade Watts. I just want to tell you I love you and Jesus loves you." And I mean, I'm shocked, you know. And then he puts his hand out, and I'm shaking his hand without thinking, because this wasn't what I was expecting. Then I realized I just broke a Klan rule, and I jerked my hand back, you know. And I started looking at my hand, which he saw that, and that was met as an insult. The Klan rule book says the physical touch of a non-white is pollution. And I thought, I just shook hands with a black person, and he sees me looking at my hand. He goes, "Don't worry, Johnny, it don't come off." and you know, I start calling him names. I go, "You no good, sorry, bleep, 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 you mother this, you that." And he looked at me and he goes, "God bless you, Johnny." He says, "You can't do enough to me to make me hate you. I'm going to love you, and I'm going to pray for you whether you like it or not." And I didn't know how to deal with that. I had never had that happen to me before.
A few years later, you burnt down his church, didn't you?
Set fire to his church. See, what happened was we started off going by his house, calling him names. We got no response. Threw trash all over his lawn. Got no response. We showed up with our sheets and hoods and stood out there in his yard. Said, "Get on out here, boy. We got something for you." And he comes outside and he goes, "Boys, Halloween's 4 more months away. I got no trick-or-treat in here for you. Come back in October." And he goes back in the house.
That's a brave man.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't know how to deal with this. And so the Klan goes, "You got any more bright ideas?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I'll tell you what we'll do." So we burned a cross across the street from his house. He came outside and asked us if we needed hot dogs and marshmallows for our barbecue, you know. So finally, I said, "I'm tired of messing with him," and we set fire to his church. And they put the fire out before the church was destroyed. And I remember I called him up, disguised my voice, and I said, "Hey, boy, you better be afraid. We're coming to get you, boy. You don't know who we are, but we know who you are." And he goes, "Hello, Johnny." And all that stuff. He goes, "A man like you takes the time to call me. I'm so honored." And all that stuff. He goes, "Let me do something to you." He goes, "Dear Lord, please forgive Johnny for being so stupid. He doesn't mean to be so ornery. He's a good boy trying to get out somewhere in there." And I hung up the phone on him. I said, "How dare him?" And so the funniest thing that happened with him, though, is I didn't know what to do. And I was at my ropes in. And one day we was watching him, and he went into a restaurant. So we got a bunch of us together, and about 30 of us went in there and surrounded him, and he had this chicken there on the table at the restaurant. And I walked up and I said, "Hey, boy, this restaurant's for white people only. We don't want you here." I said, "So I'm going to make you a promise." I said, "I promise you we're going to do the same thing to you that you do to that chicken. So you think real hard before you touch that chicken." So he looked at me and looked at the Klan, then he picked up the chicken and he kissed it. And when he kissed the chicken, the whole restaurant acted just like y'all did. They all start laughing, you know, and everything. And I looked up, and even the Klan was laughing. You got to admit, that was funny. I said, "Every one of you outside." I'm outside, and they're doubled over laughing. I'm going, "You guys are going to get suspended and lose your robe for 2 weeks." I said, "I'm getting tired of this." And I'm hollering at them and yelling, and they're laughing. I heard a horn honking, and Reverend Watts is driving off going, "Bye, Johnny," you know, and stuff. And that's how he chose. That's how one old black, we never bothered him again, and that's how one old black man defeated the entire Ku Klux Klan, because he used this instead of brawn.
And he used this too, a very brave man.
Heart, yeah.